All verse rising soul family, all verse rising, and we are going to talk about how the eastern states and the western states of USA was always better suited for melanated nationality people, way better than the southern states of USA. And here's why, man. Look, when you think of a lot of Caribbean nationality melanated people like Haitians and Jamaicans and St. Lucians and Trinidad people, like bro, uh, bro, let me tell you something, man. The southern states of USA, full of these European colonizing, whitewashed Confederate flag Catholic demons, they always slander a lot of Caribbean melanated people and be like, take your Haitian, take your Jamaican ass back to New York, or take your Haitian Jamaican ass back to California. That's how it always been, and it still happens to this day. It still happens to this day in current eras, the 2020 era. Look, man, a lot of African and Caribbean nationality melanated people, they will tell you, man, I will tell you myself, the western states and the eastern states are much better in USA than the southern states, because a lot of melanated people in the southern states are very lost on who they are compared to melanated people who grew up out in the eastern and the western states of USA. These are all facts, man. Let me tell you this. And melanated people in the eastern states, for example, they be having more vibrant personalities. Like, melanated people have vibrant personalities out in the eastern states, while majority of the melanated people who grew up in the southern states don't have personality at all. It's like they're robotoid soulless beings, man. Look, man, when you think of, like, in Pennsylvania, when you think of like individuals like Chick Raw, Vodka, Kaboom, Reed Dollars, Cassidy, Bill Collector, Rosenberg Raw, like so many individuals, man. Team A that consists of Cicero, Hollow Man, K, Sick, so many individuals, so many melanated people out in Pennsylvania, for example, that's full of Africans and Caribbeans, be having so much vibrant personalities, especially like people like Joey Jihad, aka Joey Jihad. There's a lot of Joey Jihads out in Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, the whole tri-state area, and like the whole eastern states areas, And look, man, it's a whole lot of T-Rexes, Murder Mooks, Loaded Lutz, Jay Mills, Cameron, Jules Santana, Stat Bundles, a whole bunch of vibrant personality melanated people out in the eastern states, man, because the eastern states the eastern states is just way better suited for melanated people in general. That's just facts, man, especially New Jersey. And like, a lot of Trinidad and Haitians and Jamaicans, a lot of Africans and Caribbean melanated people, they be having the time of their life. They be having a fun time of their life in those Caribbean and African dance festivals and stuff like that. Even a person like, Porn Star Poppy, man, like, he's a Caribbean nationality person. Porn Star Poppy would tell you that, like, the eastern states is way better than the southern states, because it's not as much racism and colorism hate in the eastern states as it is in the southern states. That's just like, man, like, bro, let me tell you something. Like, a lot of melanated people who grew up in the southern states of USA as a teenager, like, they missed out on a whole lot of fun that they never got a chance to have out in the western states, in the eastern states of USA. The melanated people who grew up as a child and a teenager out in the western states and the eastern states of USA, those melanated people out in the western states and the eastern states, they had luxury to be able to, have fun events, to be able to like tune in to like a lot of martial art tournaments, any type of fun tournaments that just like always like keeps a lot of melanated people, like, you know, imagination just always growing and evolving, you know. Like, bro, I will tell you this, man. It's like the only place in the South that is like an inception is like Georgia. And that's only Atlanta, right? And I know a lot of Southerners don't say Atlanta, Georgia. They say Atlanta, but I say Atlanta, Georgia, you know, because I'm not from the South at all. But at least in Atlanta, Georgia, you know, there's like martial art tournaments and martial art clubs, like Leaf Living and all that. But here's the thing: in the eastern states and the western states, there's a whole bunch of martial art clubs. There's a whole bunch of anime cons and all that out in the eastern states and the western states. It's so much fun things in the western and eastern states of USA. That's like very, very great for melanated nationality people. And these are all facts, man. Like, you know, if a melanated person is not living in an African or Caribbean country, the best alternatives for them is being in the western states of USA, in the eastern states of USA, for example, man. Because let me tell you something, man. Like, bro, me as a Caribbean melanated person, I missed out a lot on so many fun things I could have been doing as a teenager out in the eastern states of USA, whether it might be Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, you know, Connecticut, you know, so many females I missed out on, you know, that are like spiritually awake, you feel what I'm saying? And so many fun events a lot of fun sagas, fun things I could have done. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Me as a Caribbean melanated person, I grew up in the southern states in this timeline. In this timeline, I grew up in the southern states of USA. So I had to deal with a lot of colorism and racism out in these colonizing, Catholic, patriotic southern states like Louisiana's, the Alabamas, and Florida's of the world. You feel what I'm saying? And let me tell you, Florida is just like Louisiana. Mississippi's just like Arkansas, Tennessee, like all the southern states, racist, colorism to the highest. And I'm gonna tell you this, like melanated people who had fun memories growing up in the eastern states and they didn't have to deal with a lot of racism and colorism hate, those melanated people who grew up in the eastern states and western states as children and teenagers, man, they would have experienced a lot of racism and colorism in modern day if they had grew up in the South. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Like, man, bro, I'm gonna tell you this, man. Like me, I could relate. You see, my whole mannerisms, like the way I dress, like in general, the way I dress, the way I carry myself, like the way I use English language, it's more suited for a lot of the melanated people who grew up in the eastern states, right? Because a lot of people down south, like, they just look at me like I'm strange because the way I use English is not like a southerner, and it's more of a person that, you know, that like grew up in like New Jersey, New York, or Rhode Island. Because like a lot of people have said like my English is like damn near perfect, you know, because a lot of melanated people who grew up in the eastern states and the western states, their English is like damn near perfect, and they get made fun of for sounding proper. But we all know this, real spiritual beings know that melanated people's accents, you know, it's just a power, it's just a chakra power, elevation, evolution of our vocal chakras and all that stuff. And so that's all I gotta tell y'all, man. But yeah, man, the eastern states and western states of USA is better suited for melanated people. Because no melanated person needs to suffer growing up in the southern states and being told, take your African Caribbean ass back to New York or back to California. Like, it's not worth it. That's all I gotta tell y'all.